So we'll start by reciting the last shloka which we did in the last class. That is verse number 40. So let us first chant that. Neha bhikramanasosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapsyasya dharmasya rayate mahato bhayat. Mr. Ramanathan, your mic konjam off panni. Again we will recite. Neha bhikramanasosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapsyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So we had seen this verse in detail in the last class. So as we saw from Jnana Yoga, Krishna has now switched over to Karma Yoga. So the first verse on Karma Yoga, he is glorifying the aspect of Karma Yoga. Why Karma Yoga is so important and so good. So he has listed some benefits of Karma Yoga. The first one is, in Karma Yoga there is nothing called failure. Because you are not trying to achieve anything other than mental purification. So there is no goal of achieving success or money or whatever. So whatever you do is only for mental purification. So there is nothing called failure. And the second benefit is, there is no adverse result. Even if you do something wrongly, you are not going to get any adverse result. In any other karma, when you do, you may succeed or you may also fail. You may start a business, it can succeed, it can fail. You may even take some treatment, you may get cured, you may not get cured, or you may get cured of one problem and get into another problem. But in Karma Yoga, there is no adverse effect at all. So whatever you do is always counted. And the third benefit is, the result will be proportionate to the effort you have taken. So it is not that you have to complete something to get a result. So you do whatever little bit you do, that also will produce the result in terms of mental purity. So in any other karma, when you take up something for a particular result, unless you complete that work, the result will not come. You cannot say, okay, I will do half and I will get half result. You will not get any result. But in Karma Yoga, whatever effort you put in does not go waste. So suppose you say you chant Vishnu Sahasranama, even if you chant half of it, or even if you chant one name, that name also, that chanting also will give you some little benefit. So that is why for a Karma Yogi there is no worry about the result, and Krishna is going to tell in as it comes in future verses also. You start off where you let off in this Janma. So even if somebody dies, for a Karma Yogi, if he dies without attaining the ultimate goal, he can start off from where he let off. So you don't have this life. If I suppose I die, all this effort is going to go waste. Again I have to start afresh. So he doesn't have to worry, because whatever you do in this Janma that is going to be, and you start from there in the next Janma. So Krishna starts the discussion on Karma Yoga by glorifying the various aspects of Karma Yoga. Now Krishna is now going to talk about from the 41st verse he is going to discuss further on this subject. So we will now chant the 41st verse. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kuru nandana bahushakha hyantascha buddhyo avyavasayinam. Here Krishna is now going to tell the difference between a karma yogi and a normal and a person who does regular karma. What is the difference? So karma yogi, and you can call the other person as karmi. So what is the difference between a karma yogi and a karmi? So one who has a vyavasayitmika buddhi. So that means someone who is very clear. A karma yogi is very clear what he wants. The goal is defined. The goal is only moksha. For a karma yogi, the goal is clearly defined. He knows that is the ultimate goal, and he also knows what are the means to get to that goal. So there is no any kind of doubt in his mind. So he is absolutely clear. For the others, there are bahushakha, means there are different branches, and there are infinite types of karmas available. So there is a wide choice for those who are not, you can say, viveki. So if we go back to our earlier Tattva Bodha classes, so we had understood that for a jnana, to acquire knowledge of the self, there are 4 qualifications required. So we will just recall that so that it will be easy for us to understand. The first one was called as viveka. That means discriminative capacity. Discriminating between what? Discriminating between what is permanent and what is impermanent. So that is one qualification you need, that discriminative faculty. Then vairagya, dispassion. Then there is a 6-fold qualities one should possess, starting with sama, dama, uparama. And the 4th one was called as mumukshutvam, the desire for moksha, the desire for freedom. So these are the 4-fold qualifications required. So definitely a karma yogi should be clear, because he has to be first a mumukshu. Mumukshu is one who is desirous of freedom. So without a desire, there is any desire. Without the desire, there is no effort can be put. So the desire is always there, whether it is a worldly desire or is a ultimate desire. There is always some goal for which we work. So for a karma yogi, the desire is there. He is a mumukshu. He has also got viveka. So the goal is defined. He has clarity. My goal is only this. I want to achieve that ultimate goal. So once the goal is known, you should also know how to get there. He is also clear about that. So to achieve that goal, you have to gain knowledge. That is the only way. So Krishna has also mentioned Jnanam is the only way to gain moksha. There is no other way. But for gaining Jnanam, you should have some qualifications. You cannot just say, okay, I got the knowledge and I'll just attend some classes, I will get the knowledge and I will attain moksha. It becomes very simple. So all you need to is register for some classes, attend the classes, and then at the end of the course, certificate is given. You have attained moksha. So you can show the certificate, yes, I have got moksha. There are people who are claiming to be self-realized that way. So it's not that it is not happening. It doesn't happen that way. Knowledge is the only means of attaining moksha, but before that your mind should be ready for receiving that knowledge. So a karma yogi also knows how to purify the mind. So what are the steps required? So he knows that by doing a particular sadhana, only he can attain that purity of the mind. Then the mind is ready for jnanam. Then you should gain jnanam and then attain moksha. So in everything, the goal has to be clear, even if we do any worldly things also. Suppose somebody wants to go to America for some reason, studies or whatever. So once you fix that goal, okay, my aim is to go there, then what do? So first thing is you need to have a passport. So the first goal is to get the passport. Apply for the passport, go for the interview, get the passport. Now with the passport alone you cannot travel. You need a visa. Then you apply for a visa. You go to the consulate, you have an interview, you go through various procedures, then only you get a visa. Now passport and visa is there. Now how do you go there? So you should be clear. Okay, from India I need to travel to the US. So I need to book a ticket. So first I have to find out what are the various options available, which airlines goes to, which place is nearest to me, which place is there where I am going to land, what is the budget. So you need to be very clear. So once you have that, you have booked the ticket, you need also the resources. You have to, when you are traveling, you need money. You have to ensure that you have enough money. In fact, in the consulate, they ask you to produce your bank details also, so that they are sure that you have enough money to go and come back. Having done all this, it is not complete. Now on a particular day you are going to travel, so you need to ensure that you need to reach the airport in time. So you need to book a taxi to go to the airport. So just for this, you need to go through all these procedures. So there are short-term goals, but the long-term goal is to reach America. But without going through these short-term goals, you will not be able to reach there. So similarly, the karma yogi has clarity. He knows the goal is to attain moksha. Now what should be done to attain moksha? You need to first purify your mind. To attain moksha, he is very clear that only jnanam can give him moksha. Only knowledge can give him moksha. But he also knows that if the mind is not prepared, that jnanam will not stay in the mind. So then you have to prepare the mind. So what is required to prepare the mind? you have to understand all those things, all those activities which are required to purify the mind. Only then you can go to jnanam, and only after that you attain moksha. So that is why in our culture we have two kind of lifestyles. So one is called grahastha ashrama, other one is called sannyasa ashrama. Now either a sannyasi or a grahastha, both can gain moksha only through jnanam. That is very clear. But for purification of mind, they can adopt different methods. For a grahastha, the method is doing all the required rituals, doing everything which is to be done. There are certain basic rituals which everybody has to do. If you are a grahastha, you have to do certain rituals, so that you cannot escape. So all those rituals plus doing puja, doing various other chanting. So there are various means, japa, puja, doing some parayana. So all these are methods to purify the mind, and if one is clear, then we will go about it in that particular manner. For a sannyasi, he is absolved of all doing all this. He is directly going to study Jnana Yoga, but how does he prepare his mind? So for him, the method is to do probably Ashtanga Yoga. So he does asana, pranayama, pratyahara, all those 8 steps of yoga. He doesn't have to worry about day-to-day things, because he has been given the freedom to skip the grahastha. But it is not that he is ready immediately. Somewhere in his past life, he would have probably gone through all this. Only then the mind will be ready. So even if suddenly somebody decides to, so sannyasa is not for everybody. It requires lot of I would say previous life punyam also to be ready for sannyasa. There are a lot of sannyasis who in a moment of some problem they decide to take sannyasa, and then they realize that no, they are not ready for it, and then they go through turmoil, and they are worse than grahasthas. At least we don't have to follow certain strict rules which sannyasis have to follow, but we may find that many of them don't. That's their problem, because the one who takes up sannyasa should be very clear about his goal, and he should follow all the rules and regulations set for that. Otherwise he is only going to cheat himself. So these are the two options available for karma yoga, grahastha and a sannyasi. Now each one can follow the rules and regulations as per that ashrama. So that was but the thing is, both of them, there is no other option but to gain knowledge for moksha. So you cannot say a sannyasi doesn't require knowledge, he can directly go, you become a sannyasi and you gain moksha, is not possible. Same thing for a grahastha, but the preparation of the mind requires, the methods may vary. Probably for a sannyasi it's a little more easy in terms of preparation, because he is not bound by day-to-day things. For a grahastha, we have to do our daily duties, we have to take care of the family, we have to attend to so many things, and on top of that we need to work to purify the mind also. So it is a little more difficult. probably the sannyasi doesn't have to worry about all these things. It becomes a little easier. But it is not that it is very easy for a sannyasi. They have their own problems. Only when we meet sannyasis and we understand how they function, we will understand their problems. So each of us should go by what we are at this moment and what we can do to attain that jnana yogyata, the qualification for gaining jnanam, the process to gain jnanam. So again, coming back to a karma yogi, he is clear about all these things. So a karma yogi has absolute clarity regarding what he has to do to attain moksha, because he has set the goal which is very clear. So there is no ambiguity. Now Krishna tells the other part, the karma, those who do karma with a different attitude. So for them, he says, there are innumerable ways and means. There are many branches and n number of options. So there are a lot of people, especially in our Sanatana Dharma, there are so many options available. In other religions, they don't have much option. They have to just follow what their spiritual leader says or what their God has specified, because they claim they have only one God. So that's their problem. So how they go about it, it's not our. In Sanatana Dharma, we have n number of choice. Somebody will say, in Kali Yuga, Jnana Yoga is not required. Bhakti Yoga is more important. That is one school of thinking. So you do some bhajan and you do some prayer, that will lead you to moksha. There is another group which will say, no, you have to do all these rituals. You have to do all these religious practices. Then only you will be able to gain moksha. Another people say, you do Anga Pradakshinam. If you do some 10 times in this temple, you will get moksha. So people move from one type of activity to another type of activity, thinking that they will stumble upon something which will give them that goal. But Krishna says very clearly, such people are only wasting their time. They have wandering minds. They just move around here and there trying to figure out what to do, because their goal is not clear. So they have not attained that mental state where they can decide. See, even children, when we see, you meet young children, and ask them what they want to be. They will, depending on at that moment what is in fashion, they will decide that. So one fellow will say, he might have traveled by train. So he will say, I want to be an engine driver. Next day he will go on a flight. No, I want to be a pilot. Then he will go and watch some IPL match. He will say, no, I want to play cricket. I want to become a cricketer. But very few, some children you will find that they are very clear. I want to be a doctor. That is my goal. They don't have any other option. But there are very few. I want to be a cricketer. For example, now we have this new player who has come in called Yashasvi Jaiswal. So I believe from his young age, he wanted to only become a cricketer. So he left his home, which is in some small town. He came to Mumbai. He stayed in some tent and this thing. He was very clear. So that is the kind of this thing. If somebody has that same kind of determination to attain moksha, definitely they will get it. So this boy came all the way to Mumbai, which is not a easy place to live. He managed to go through all the difficulties, and ultimately now he has attained what he wanted to. So there are some people who have that clarity, but most kids you ask, they are always little confused. That is natural, even probably we were there at that age. There was an option once, I remember, where you take physics, chemistry, maths and biology. You do all the four, you can either become a doctor or an engineer. Now what kind of option is that? You should have aptitude for, the person who has an aptitude for medicine will be different from one who has aptitude for engineering. But the choice, so I can either become a doctor or an engineer. So there itself there is a lot of confusion. So if you have clarity, if somebody says I want to be an engineer, I want to go to IIT, he will know whether what kind of preparation is required, when he should start studying and go through that to get that. Or I want to get into AIMS or whichever medical college. But if you think, okay, if not engineering, I will do medical, that's not going to work out. Maybe some people were there who are good enough to get a seat in either of that, but these are two different things. So their clarity is still not, they are intelligent enough to get either. Some people might have got admission in both, but to be a good engineer or a good doctor, it should have been very, very clear right from the beginning. Definitely they may succeed, they may make money in either profession, that is different. But that clarity in the initial stages only make you a good engineer or a doctor, for example. So the people who are not clear, they will go from one method to another, they will try all kinds of things and finally end up doing nothing. So a karma yogi is one who has very clear vision. He doesn't have any doubt regarding the goal, and he also knows the method to achieve that goal, what kind of action he should do to gain that jnana yogyata, or to gain that mind which will, that pure mind which will ensure that the jnana, whenever he gets the knowledge, it remains with him, and with that he can attain moksha. The other people will continue to wander here and there looking for various options, and some of them ultimately they become nastikas. Somebody will say, you try this, you will achieve this, they will put lot of effort to do something, and finally they will find that they didn't achieve. Then they give up hope in everything. They say, I went to this temple, so many coconuts I went and broke there, but nothing happened. So this God is useless. I am not going to go to that God anymore. Like this, each one they try, and many of them just drop out without achieving anything. So first, to achieve that goal, one should have clarity. So again, going back to the fourfold qualification that one should have. So the basic qualification is mumukshutvam, the desire. Without that, there is no point in having the other three, because if you don't have the desire for something, there is no point in having the other qualities. The other qualities are there, good, you have, but if you don't have that desire itself, so it starts from desire, then you can always build up the other qualifications. You can viveka, vairagya, and the 6 qualifications, qualities that you should possess can always be accumulated over a period of time. But desire is the basic thing. So without that, so one who has clarity about all these things. So somebody may say, I lead a very ethical life, I don't cheat anybody. Good. but that doesn't mean it is karma yoga. Karma yoga, you can lead an ethical life, you can have all the materialistic things, but your goal will not be achieved if you want to attain moksha. So ethical life is the basic, without that you cannot do anything. But ethical life is not karma yoga. People think that, oh, he's very honest, he doesn't tell lies, he doesn't take bribes. That's not a qualification. That is what you are expected to be minimum. So there is nothing to be proud about not not taking bribes or not telling lies. Or there's nothing to be proud of. So that is what normally you should be. But to be a karma yogi, the shift in attitude has to happen. So the same work when you do, the attitude is different. You do anything for simple reason, you want to purify the mind. You are not expecting any other benefit from that. So that is the attitude of karma yoga. So which is what is required. So the karma yogi is very clear. For the others, there are many branches and innumerable options. They can try all that, but finally they have to come to the same conclusion that without jnanam you cannot achieve moksha, and for attaining jnanam you have to have qualification which you have to attain through various means. So this is what the difference between a karma yogi and a normal karmi, the one who does normal action with the normal attitude of gaining something, is what Krishna has emphasized on this. Now in the next 3 verses, he is going to now, in fact, he is going to talk about the people who don't have karma yoga. He is going to be very, very critical about such people. We'll just read the verses. The next 3 verses we will read together, because he is going to talk about the people who don't have the karma yoga attitude, and he is criticizing them. So let us read verse number 42. Yami mam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitaha vedavadarata partha jnanadastiti vadinaha. 43. Kamatmanah swargapara janma karma falapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishcharya gatim prati. 44. Bhogeshvarya prasaktanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhauna vidhiyate. So we will look at these 3 verses together in detail, where Krishna is going to criticize the people who live for materialistic things. So we will look at that in the next class.